All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. The National Aging in Place Council's Professional Development Series. I'm really excited to introduce you to our speaker today, Wanda Allen. She is an international speaker, coach, corporate trainer, author, and award-winning business owner. And I know she is going to tell you all about her background, her 25-year corporate career in her presentation. So I will keep my intro short, and we'll have time for questions at the end, but feel free to put things in the chat box, and I'll make sure that everything gets addressed before we close. So thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you, Wanda, for joining us as well.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here. And I'm going to start off with a statistic. Did you know that there's over 100,000 networking events a month in the United States? And that's a lot of people networking. And here's the end result for most of those people. Now, if you don't recognize this, I'm going to say congratulations. If you do recognize it, it's what I call business card buildup. Now, I'm going to be very direct with you today, because if I try to sugarcoat or sweet talk you through this really important topic, I will be doing you a complete disservice, and I don't want to do that. So if I say anything that stings, just know that I'm saying it because I care, okay? So if you have this situation on your desk, I want you to stop it. Stop going to events, connecting with people, and then doing nothing. Because when you do that, you're wasting your time, energy, and money. And that's what it takes to get a person's business card. Now, we've been dealing with COVID for the last couple of years, so you haven't been getting very many business cards, but things are rapidly opening up again. And I don't want this bad habit going with you. So if you have this situation on your desk, I want better for you. Now, I'm going to get into the what, the how, and the why of follow-up. But before I do that, as mentioned, I do want to go into my background so that you understand really why I'm talking to you about this topic. So I'm Wanda Allen, and my company's Follow-Up Sales Strategies. And as mentioned, I am an international speaker, a coach, and a corporate trainer. I've written 2 books. My first book was Follow-Up Savvy, and my second book is Follow-Up Sales Strategies. And before I did all of that, I had a very successful 25-year corporate career. I was a business banker, and I started at the age of 19 as a secretary. So if any of you have been around long enough to remember that title, you know I'm dating myself, because today they're called administrative assistants. But I was a 19-year-old secretary, and I worked my way up the corporate ladder. And at the age of 30, I was promoted to senior vice president. And I spent the lion's share of my career managing SBA departments. And it stands for Small Business Administration. And I managed departments that did 100 million plus in annual loan volume. And it was through that experience that I developed a very strong skill for creating systems. And after managing SBA for about 15 years, I was asked if I would consider the position of branch manager. And I was ready for a change, so I accepted the position, which put me into sales. And one of the first things I did was I really studied the sales process. And I realized how critical follow-up is to every single stage in the process. And I also realized there's an extension of following up called staying in touch, also known as relationship management, which is an area that's terribly neglected today. Because what so many people do is they follow up on the prospecting side, get the business, close it, drop the relationship, and they're off looking for their next new lead, prospect, and client, forgetting about everybody they've already done business with. So I'm here to remind you, there's more opportunity either through more business or referrals with the people who you have already worked with. So I really understood it all. And what I decided to do was take my strong skill of creating systems, and I developed systems for following up on the prospecting side and then staying in touch once business had been closed. And within 9 months of having these systems in place, I brought in my first $1 million account. And I've had many, many successes since then. So I know most of you would love to have the right systems in place. And there may be some here that would be happy with a system because there's just nothing there. So if I asked each of you if you were good at follow-up, I know many of you are going to tell me no, because it's just an area that in general people really struggle with. And if you're not good at getting your follow-up work done, there's some common results. First one is you lose business. Bottom line, end of story. If you don't follow up, you're going to lose business. Research tells us that only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. That means 98% of the time you have to follow up. Next, you have a thin or inconsistent pipeline, and this is stressful because if your pipeline is thin or inconsistent, that means your sales are going to be thin or inconsistent, and therein lies the stress. Next, you quit or give up too soon when you're following up. And if you quit or give up too soon, in no way are you giving your pipeline an opportunity to grow. You carry around negative emotions on a regular basis about having to get your follow-up work done. You have business card buildup that I just discussed, and you lack strong relationships. These are all common results of not getting your follow-up work done. So whether you recognize yourself in one of these, a few of these, or all of these, again, I want better for you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you 3 strategies that if you're willing to implement them, I promise you they will improve your follow-up efforts immediately. And these strategies are the fundamentals of follow-up. The problem with life today is it has gotten so complex, complicated, and fast-paced that the fundamentals are lost. So I'm going to use a sports team as an example. Anytime there's a team and they've lost 3 or more games in a row, you will always hear the coach say, we have to get back to the fundamentals. And a coach always says that because you can't be good at anything if the fundamentals aren't there. In fact, it's been said that to be an expert at anything, you have to be a master at the fundamentals. So life is moving full steam ahead, and that's awesome. But today we're going to go in the opposite direction and get back to the fundamentals of follow-up. And then if you want further support with your follow-up skills beyond this presentation, I'll be offering a free gift at the end. Okay, so let's get into it. We have to deal with the elephant in the room, and that is stress. People are so stressed out today. And if you feel like follow-up adds to your stress level, or follow-up work in and of itself is stressful, I have really good news for you, because follow-up is not stressful. What creates the stress is not doing your follow-up work. That's where the rub is. Because when you're not getting your follow-up work done, there's negativity attached to that. And that negativity is centered in emotions. First emotion is embarrassment. Have you ever been embarrassed because you didn't follow up? And I believe embarrassment is one of the strongest emotions we have, because we all have a sense of pride in us. And if something's too embarrassing, our pride's going to step up and say, no way, not going there. And you're going to walk away from potential business. Next emotion is guilt. There's a lot of guilt in particular with relationship management, because when you're not staying in touch with the people that are important to you, you're in essence neglecting that relationship, and therein lies the guilt. But there's also guilt with not following up. And then the last emotion is discouragement. You know, you just don't feel good about where you're going with your sales. You're not closing what you want to. Your pipeline's thin. You have business slipping through the cracks. And if you're embarrassed and guilty and discouraged on a regular basis, this is how you're going to end up feeling. And I call this, you know, trying to get through the day with a boulder on your shoulder. It's exhausting and it's going to wear you out. That's the effects of not getting your follow-up work done. So that's the negative side. Now I'm going to flip it over positive. What happens when you do get your follow-up work done? The emotions that you experience. First of all, composure. When you're composed, you're in control, which means you will not be running around with your hair on fire on a regular basis. And if that's your MO, That's not good for you, and it's not good for the people around you. Next emotion is you're encouraged. You feel great about the business that you're closing. Your pipeline's robust. You love the prospects you're working with. You have a spring in your step. You're actually enjoying what you do. And then lastly is confidence. And we forget about confidence, but it is so crucial in sales because at the end of the day, that is what people buy. You know, who doesn't love a salesperson who is confident in who they are and the product or service that they sell? That is what we gravitate towards. So when you're composed and encouraged and confident, this is how you're going to feel. And you may say, oh, that's a bit sappy and a little dramatic, Wanda. But I challenge you, get your follow-up work done every working day and tell me if by and large you don't feel like this versus the person trying to get through the day schlepping around a big old a big old boulder. So, but before we can get here, which is what I call the happy place, we got to deal with this right here. What goes on in between your ears? This is fundamental one, mindset. If your mindset isn't right about your follow-up work, you will be tripped up before you get out the door or make that phone call or send that email or text. So we've got to get the mindset right. Now, we all have an inner child in us. And when we were kids and said, I don't want to do that, we had adults in our lives that said, I don't care whether you want to do it, you're going to do it anyway. Well, when you become an adult and your inner child shows up and says, I don't want to do my follow-up work today, you don't have to. And by the way, follow-up work is very easy not to do, but it's detrimental to future business. So when your child shows up and says, I don't want to do my follow-up work today, here's the mindset shift I want you to make. I must follow up. I want you to make it a non-negotiable because there's two reasons you follow up. One is to increase your sales and two is to take care of your relationships. That's it. I am all about simplicity. Life is complicated enough on its own. I'm not going to add to it. So this is why you follow up. So any given day that you let your child be your decision maker and say, we're not going to follow up today, what you're saying is, I'm not going to work on increasing my sales today or taking care of my relationships. And that just doesn't make any sense. That's why you get up every day. So please don't let your inner child be your decision maker because it will not bode well for future sales. Now, the other problem with mindset is fear. There's so much fear associated with following up, which is a huge reason why people don't do it. So I'm going to give you the top three common fears and how to get over them. First fear is fear of being uncomfortable. If you're not used to doing your follow-up work, it is uncomfortable, but in the beginning only. I want you to view follow-up as a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets, the more developed it gets, and the thicker your skin will get. And as this diagram illustrates, the magic happens outside of the comfort zone. Please don't think you can get to new levels in sales and business and remain comfortable. That's a modified definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, but expecting different results. It doesn't work. So when you have to follow up and this fear shows up, you have one of two choices. You bust through the discomfort and you take the follow-up action anyway, or you shrink back into your comfort zone and stay right where you are because you're tapped. We all are. We're tapped in our comfort zone. So when this fear shows up, the mindset shift I want you to make is when I'm uncomfortable, it's my opportunity to grow my sales. And that will support you in moving through this fear. Next fear is fear of being pushy. This is one of the top two fears, and I hear it all the time. If I keep following up, I feel like I'm being pushy. And what feeds this fear is that people have in their mind that pushy salesperson that they don't want to be. And so what they end up doing is going so far to the opposite end of the spectrum to make sure they're not that pushy salesperson that they end up taking very little, if any, action at all. And so if your job is to bring in sales, then your job is to follow up. And if you're not doing your job, you're not being professional. So therefore, not following up is being unprofessional. Now, thesaurus tells us that the synonym to follow up is pursuing and showing interest. That is what you're doing. The antonym, according to thesaurus, is avoiding and forgetting. So do you want to be that sales professional who pursues and shows interest in the prospect and their family, or the one who runs the risk of being perceived by the prospect is somebody who is avoiding and forgetting? And the answer is obvious. So when this fear shows up, the mindset shift I want you to make is, I am a professional salesperson who respectfully shows my prospects that I'm interested. If you will make professional and respectful your mantra, there's no way you're going to be pushy, because they don't fit together. And then the last fear I'm going to discuss is the big one. This is the second of the top two, is that good old fear of rejection, that 2-letter word. And I hear it a lot. I hate to follow up because I'm afraid they're going to tell me no. No is part of the sales process. Nobody can be in sales and never be told no. No one is that talented, gifted, or unique. In fact, there's been research done that shows the most successful salespeople get the most no's. Why? Because they make more calls than most people. And there's a real misconception out there in that so many people think the pain is in the no. And that's just wrong. That's not where the pain is. The pain is in the ignore. I will take a no over an ignore any day of the week, because when somebody tells me no, I know where they stand. It's an update. It keeps my train moving. But when somebody ignores me, I've got to sit and idle with them. And I'm following up while I'm in idle, but there's no movement. So when you're following up, no is the second best answer you can get. And it's been my observation that the people who have a hard time saying no have a harder time hearing no. So if you're somebody who has a hard time saying no, I'm going to give you a challenge to say no to something every single day. Because when you're in sales, it's crucial that you're really comfortable with the word no, whether you're the one saying it or hearing it. So when this fear shows up, the mindset shift I want you to make is no is good. It is not a bad word. Okay, so that's mindset. Got to have it fixed. Fundamental 1. Fundamental 2 is you must use a CRM. Stands for Customer Relationship Manager. In a nutshell, it's a computer program where you keep your contact and follow-up information for the people that are important to you. And if you're not using a CRM, you're making the follow-up and relationship management process so much more difficult. You're doing what I call slipping and sliding, and that is just exhausting. So if you're not using a CRM, you are using some kind of system. And I'm going to share with you what some of the common systems are that replace a CRM. First one is a spiral notebook on your desk. Now, how much time do you waste flipping through pages of paper trying to find information you wrote 3 weeks ago? And the bigger danger here is if you ever lost this notebook, there goes your future business. Sticky notes, please, please, please. These are little pieces of paper that get lost in the paper shuffle. If you're fortunate enough to realize you've lost a sticky, it's going to stop you dead in your tracks. And you may not even realize you've lost a sticky that possibly could have led you to the biggest piece of business you've ever closed. Get rid of the sticky notes. Cell phones. So many people are trying to make their cell phones their CRMs. They were not designed to be a CRM. The only time a cell phone's okay is if you're on the app for your CRM or if you're out on the actual website for the CRM. Email, such a problem. People's inboxes are in overload. I mean, I hear people say they have 50, 80, 100 plus emails in their inbox. How overwhelming to look at that every day. And I believe what adds to this problem is that people are using their inbox as their to-dos and reminders. So here's an example. I get an email from Sue and she tells me her group is interested in having me speak and she wants me to follow up. The board's going to meet early next month. She wants me to follow up mid next month. Oh, I better keep that email so I remember. Well, mid next month is a month away. How buried does her email get? Am I even going to remember? And if I remember, how long am I going to have to sift and dig and hunt? And if there's been a lot of back and forth, you know, when you're sifting through chains of email, it's just such a time waster. So email, please don't trick yourself into thinking this is a great to-do and reminder system, because it's not. Next, Excel. A lot of people use Excel. It's definitely better than sticky notes and spiral notebooks, but it's still not good because two reasons. First reason is it is so labor intensive, and the bigger your sheet, the more laborious it is. I mean, you're scrolling up and down and left and right and moving columns and rows, too much. The bigger problem with Excel is it's not automated. And if it's not automated, there's just too much room for error and oversight. We live in an incredible time of technology. Automation makes our life so much easier. And then there's one system that's worse than all of these, and it's one that is commonly used, and it is your memory. I can't tell you how many people use this system. Oh, I'll remember to call Bob 2 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah, probably not. And it has nothing to do with age. Life is too busy. There's too much going on. Our brains were not designed to be a CRM. This is the system that will wake you up at 3 in the morning. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot to do that. Or it will remind you 2 weeks later that you were supposed to do something 2 weeks ago, and now you're embarrassed and guilty and discouraged, and all of those emotions come flooding back. So if you get nothing else out of me today, please get a CRM and use it, because I'm telling you, it will change your life. And that sounds like such a dramatic statement, but I say it with 100% certainty, because when you have a CRM and use it, I'm emphasizing that word because there's a lot of people who have CRMs that don't use them. That's as good as that gym membership. You know what I mean? I don't need to say any more about that. But when you have one and are using it, this is why it's going to change your life, because you're going to have more sales. You're going to have stronger relationships. Things will stop slipping through the cracks, and your stress level is going to lower. And when all of that happens, your life changes. That's the power of a CRM. So that's fundamental 2, must use a CRM. Fundamental number 3 is you must make follow-up a top priority. And this may sound like common sense, but I am here to tell you it is not very common at all. The number one reason why people tell me they can't get their follow-up work done is because they don't have the time. They're just too busy. I've heard it a gazillion times and I never ever believe it. It is not about the time. And time is a real problem for a lot of people in that they consistently have a shortage of it. And if you're consistently short on time, you enter what I call the blame game, where you blame time for everything. I'm too busy, I'm in a hurry, I gotta go, I'll do it later. And this becomes very habitual. So much so that you'll find yourself saying you don't have time to do something that would take 5 minutes. And it's been my observation that those who consistently have a shortage of time are those who waste the most. And how do they waste it? On low priority, busy, comfortable work. They do that work before getting to the top priority work. The top priority work tends to be the uncomfortable work, but it is the work that will move the needle forward in your business. The low priority work tends to be the comfortable work. And as human nature, that's where we go. But you can't go there. You've got to tend to your top priority work. And there's a crazy thing that happens. I've called it a phenomenon because I can't tell you how it happens or why it happens. All I can tell you is it happens. When you get your top priority work done first before you do anything else, you will be amazed at how time shows up for you. Time will become your friend, and it is the enemy for so many people. So if you're in the blame game, I'm going to pull you out right now. I don't want you to say ever again, I didn't get that done because I didn't have the time. What I want you to say instead is, I didn't get that done because I didn't make it a high enough priority. Therein lies the truth. When you blame time, it's out there somewhere. You can't quite grasp it. But when you say, I didn't make it a high enough priority, you have control over that. And anytime we need to course correct any area in our life, it's so much easier to correct when you have control. So please understand, in no way am I suggesting you're not busy. I don't know any working person who's not busy. First of all, you have a business or a job, maybe you have both, and then you throw in spouse, kids, grandkids, aging parents, you do volunteer work, you sit on board, you coach the kids' sports team, you're a Girl Scout mom, on and on and on. And what I will say is the busier your life is, the more crucial it is that you prioritize effectively, because that's what's going to keep you sane. Okay, so that's fundamental 3. Now I want to share some sales statistics with you. Older research told us that 48% of people never follow up. And I was never on board with that statistic because I always knew it was so much worse. Newer research is telling us that 79% of people never follow up. That I'm on board with. That's how bad it is out there. So if you will really commit and get your arms around your follow-up responsibilities, there's so much more opportunity for you because people don't do it. And when I say people, I'm talking about your competitors. This research also shows that 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. And I believe this to be a spot-on statistic. However, only 10% of people make 3 or more contacts. So I'm going to reword this last statistic. 90% of people follow up twice and then quit. And I think this is very accurate. So what this looks like, you get a lead, you follow up twice, the prospect doesn't respond, you drop it. You get another lead, you follow up twice, the prospect doesn't respond, you drop it. On and on and on. And before you know it, you feel like a hamster on a wheel. You know, you're just running, but not getting very far. And this pains me because people are working so hard on what I call the front end work, which is getting the lead, but they fall so short on the back end work, which is follow up, that they will never experience near the fruit of all that labor they're putting out on the front end. The front end work just plants the seed. Okay, you've got to water it and nurture it to get it to blossom into a yes or a no. And you do that through follow up. So if you do feel like you're a hamster on a wheel and you want off of it, there's only one way out through all the madness, and it is through systems. Now, systems is kind of a cold clinical word. And for our creatives and free spirits, this word will all but give you a hive. So if you don't like the word system, then use the word daily routine. They both mean the same thing. If I asked each of you, hey, what's your daily system or routine for getting your follow-up and relationship management work done? I know most of you are going to tell me you don't have any, but I want you to make today the day of change and really be open to getting some systems and routines in place, because here's what they're going to do for you. First and foremost, they're going to give you structure, and we all need some kind of structure to our day, because if you walk into any given working day with no structure, it is a free-for-all, and that you're going to be slipping and sliding. You know, I use kids as an example. Kids do better under structure, and they can become better people because of that structure. And we're no different. We'll perform better under structure, and our sales will be bigger because of that structure. Secondly, they're going to make you more organized. And, we're all wired differently. So some of us are more naturally organized than others. But if you're not naturally an organized person, even more the reason to have systems and routines in place. Because when there's disorganization, it opens the door wide for inefficiencies. And I think, this crazed frenzy that we all live in, I believe it has desensitized so many people to inefficiencies, and inefficiencies are so costly because when you have your systems and routines in place, efficiency is going to show up. And what happens when you're efficient is you're going to be, the more efficient you are, the more productive you're going to be. And the more productive you are, the more business you're going to close, which means the more money you're going to make. And that's always a great thing. And then lastly, what they're going to do for you is they're going to keep you consistent. And it's so crucial. If you want change in any area of life, you got to be consistent. In business is no different. I have no doubt you have sales goals and visions and dreams. And I know you do such important work. But to get to where you want to be, to help all the families that you see yourself helping, you've got to be consistent with your follow-up. So if you don't have any systems or routines in place, I'm going to ask you, is it costing you financially in lost business? And if it is, only you know that answer. If it is, I want you to say, today is the day you draw a line in the sand. No more. Get out of the madness, get out of the chaos. If you want more support with your follow-up skills, I told you I'd be offering a free gift at the end, and here's what it is. I'm going to offer you a complimentary ticket to my 2-hour virtual workshop. And here's what we're going to cover. First, I'm going to show you how to easily use a CRM for follow-up purposes. I don't care what CRM it is, I'm going to show you how to easily use it. Next, I'm going to show you how to clear that business card stack off your desk. That is dead, stuck energy that needs to go. And so I'm going to show you how to get through that stack and then prevent it from ever building again. Because remember, I said, I don't want that habit being a part of you. Okay, I just barely scratched the surface with time. It's a real issue and a real problem. And so I really delve into this topic because you got to clear the way. You're not going to get any more time. 24 hours is it. So, I really dive into this topic for you so you can clear the way for follow-up. And then lastly, I'm going to teach you a system, which is really exciting. It's a daily follow-up action plan. And here are the upcoming dates. Now, one is tomorrow, and some of you may say, oh my gosh, that's too soon. Or others might say, oh my gosh, that's just in time. It just depends where you are. But I've got 2 other dates beyond tomorrow. These are the times in the different time zones. You can go to my website, followupsalesstrategies.com, and go to the free workshop page. And then I am also going to put the link. I just did it. There's the clickable link in the chat box. You can register there as well. So I thank you for your time, and I will turn it back over. Tara, thank you.
Great, thank you. I feel like maybe you're talking to me a couple of those times with I'm sitting here with my notebook and my stickies and everything. So thank you for that.
I can't tell you how many people have said to me, either you've been in my office or you've talked to my boss or you're following me around. It's a universal problem.
Yeah. Well, we'll open up the floor to questions. If anyone has questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type them in the chat box very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and put in here as well. If you enjoyed this presentation, this is part of our professional development series, so you can join us over here at NAIPC anytime. Pam, I see you took yourself off mute. Do you have something?
I did. Do you? Thank you so much, Wanda. That was really terrific, concise information. Very, very impactful. You too are following me around. Do you have a CRM system that you prefer, or a couple of them that you prefer?
Yeah, so I do. And, I wish I could say this is the one for everyone, but I can't
Yeah.
because we're all so different. So people always want to know what I use.
Mhm.
And it's, so I'll start there. It's a funny name. It's called Less Annoying. And
Oh,
I'm an affiliate with them. I want to be totally transparent with you. I'm an affiliate with them. So I'm going to put my affiliate link here in the chat box. If you like it, you'll get 60 days free.
perfect.
Having said that, I don't care if you use Less Annoying or not. What
Yeah.
I care about is you get one that you like and you'll use. So there's hundreds out there. Okay.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, so
I've tried a few, and some are clunky and some are not. And then if they're clunky, I don't tend to use them, and I go back to my, archaic ways. So I have no problem with you having an affiliate link. So I'll try that one out. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, part of my follow-up system is to not open the text from people like the one from Pam that I owe you a response on. So I will be following up on that soon, Pam.
Thank you.
Just back my hand. Do you have any other questions? I have one for myself and this organization personally, unless someone else wants to jump in, I'm going to ask. So you mentioned that between the 5th and the 8th, or 5th and the 12th contact is where people decide their sales. Would you suggest in an organization like this where we have free seminars that we offer people once, now they're free as we're growing, but we are going to start putting restrictions and make things members only. Would it be smart for us to say, hey, your first 8 webinars are free, or something to play? First 5 webinars are free, to play with those numbers a little bit? Would that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Because, and how it is with free, oftentimes they don't show up, they don't have skin in the game. So it may take 5 times for them to get to 1.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I think that would be really great. And you don't want to offer too much, but just enough to give them a chance. And then, if they didn't take advantage of that, well, that's on them. You did your part.
Yeah, I'm just thinking our organization is based on 5 pillars and we have 5 different programming series. So maybe that's going to be our magic number here going forward. So stay tuned.
Yeah, good. Yeah, 5 is a good number. 3, 5, 7, they say those are the psychologically soothing numbers, if you will.
All right. Well, we have a quiet group today. Is there anyone else that wants to jump on and ask a question, or maybe they're saving it all for your free workshop?
Hi, it's Deanne.
Hi, Deanne.
Hi. I just want to say this was fantastic. It just kind of reminded me I do need to look into your CRM, first of all, because some of the ones I've been using also, I need it, like the name of it, less annoying. Some of them are annoying because you feel like you have to take an encyclopedia course just to learn it. And, then it adds to the stress. So I'm definitely going to look into that and sign up for one of those 2-hour workshops. And I do want to compliment you on putting the mindset in there, because that's exactly what it is. So I teach on mindset. So Tara's probably going to giggle as I say this, but I mean, that's the number one thing, right? Is we tell ourselves what a drag it is. And I teach mindset, and I will still, on days when I know I have a lot of follow-up, have to take a deep breath and do my meditation. Even though I teach on this and I know it, because you have to get that out of your head. And I also love the reminder of, the amounts of contacts. Yes, I hear it all the time, but with spaced repetition, we need to keep hearing it. So I highly encourage all of us on here, since it sounds like we're all kind of raising our hand going, that's me, to get on those 2-hour workshops. I look forward to seeing it. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And yeah, that's why I start with mindset, because I could teach you the best systems on the planet. And if your mind isn't there, it's going to be for naught. And in terms of the CRM, in the workshop, I really break it down, because I'm about baby stepping, so it's manageable and doable, because if it's overwhelming, you're not going to do it. So I really will talk you through what to learn when you're getting your CRM in place. So that's good. That'll be good for you.
It's great. It sounds like you're going to have NAIPC members invade your workshops. So I will see some of you all soon, I'm sure. Anyone else that has a question before we wrap it up? I'll be sending a link to this recording, and I'll include a link to the workshop after this is done, and also Wanda's contact information, so we all have a way to contact her. Hi, Wayne.
How you doing? Say, just a real quick comment. Wanda, this was great. I appreciate you doing, especially for NAICP. It is so important, as you stress to people, is follow up. I have closed more deals and more sales because I made a follow-up phone call that no one else followed up.
Yeah.
Just that quick call or that quick stop in. You know, it's amazing. I've lost track of the things that I've done just by doing the follow-up. And most people don't. They think, oh, I'll wait till next time I see them.
Yeah.
You know, and my feeling is by the time they see you again, I've already got my relationship built.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're
It
dead on.
works.
So thank you.
Yeah, it works. And I love it when my clients say, oh my God, that really worked. Yeah, it works. So yes, thank you, Wayne. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I was on a podcast this morning, and the host said that her and her partner had talked to they were going to buy some piece of equipment, $8,000. And she said, we just need to get our finances in order, follow up in a month. He never followed up. $8,000 order, never ever followed up. I hear those stories all the time.
Well, you know, and I'll give you a good example. I'm in the market looking for a motorhome. I know what I want. I reached out to all these different dealers, gave them the information, talked to the salesperson. Nobody's following up. Nobody's calling me back.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us. And this will be posted, like I said, in our resource section, and I'll also send you all the emails. I just want to remind you of one meeting coming up this month on the third Thursday of every month. It is our national members meeting. This month, Jamie from our San Diego chapter will be talking about do you own your stuff or does your stuff own you? She is a declutter and senior move manager, whatever that certification is. So thank you, Wanda, for a great presentation. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope to see you at future presentations. Bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Wanda. Thank you, Tara, for organizing this.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna follow up with you next, Pam.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Tara, do you have some time?